Alright, so this is kind of random, but I was on some forum. I was on a cult forum, the Chaos Magic little mini forum, like whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't know. I'm not forum savvy. Forums aren't for me. I never get along with people on. You know, people just don't fucking. Nobody agrees with what I have to say, whatever. But I was on a cult forum. I was reading this thing, and this kid, he's like 17 or something, you know, rebellious teenager, gets into Satanism. So this rebellious, like, teenager person, he was probably a nice kid, just probably had no idea what the fuck he was doing. He wanted to mix kundalini with Satanism. He wanted to open up his kundalini and become like super like my kundalini is open, you know, like, you know. Which first off, this is so stupid on so many levels. Like these two things should never be combined. And I'm gonna go into detail as to like why. God, the exposure's really high on my face. I'll probably look like I'm a ghost. But anyways, this kid wanted to open his kundalini and practice Satanism. First off, I'm going to go into this. I'm not a Satanist. I don't discriminate against Satanists. I know there's Satanists out there. I know there's atheists out there. I don't care. There's Christians. You know, there's people. You see people, they got fucking dowsing rods and shit. And then there's people, they got dowsing rods and they actually fucking work. I don't know. Doesn't matter to me. I think people should just be able to believe whatever they want, as long as they're not pushy dicktards about it. But this kid was like, I want to open up my kundalini and work with the Satanism. I was the first person, because occult forum, like, nobody's on there anymore. Like, there's like a few people on there, and they only check like maybe once a week. So you could post something on there, and just, you know, nobody reads it unless you're like a regular there. You know, some of the people, they kind of know what they're talking about, but they don't always know what they're talking about. I think they need to read more different things. They need to do more research. But, you know, they're on the right track. You know, they know their shit. I think they need to read a more wider variety of things. That's all I'm saying. But basically this kid, and that goes for me too, I need to read a wider variety of things. Everybody does. But this kid, this is what I told him. And this was not asshole advice. This was not, kid, you're being an idiot, you know, don't do that. I wanted to say that. But I was basically saying, like, I'm not a Satanist. I say this like 50 million times. I don't believe in Satanism. It's not my thing. But I basically said, when you practice Satanism, this is the way most Satanists practice. You keep yourself closed spiritually. And most Satanists are actually atheists, which I don't understand. But basically, you want to keep yourself spiritually closed off from anything. Because when you're a Satanist, you're working with really evil, horrible, bad things. Things that don't like you. Things that will do stuff for you, but they just want to disturb you and fuck you up. So if you're practicing kundalini while you're practicing Satanism, like, no good's gonna come from it. You're gonna get fucked with, and they're gonna like make you like, they're just gonna like, you're gonna get corrupted is what I'm saying. Like, your mind's gonna get corrupted. You're not gonna feel right. So opening up your kundalini when you're a Satanist, don't do this. Like, this is basically what I told him. I said you shouldn't do that. I said you should either just go with one or the other. I didn't want to tell him to go with the kundalini, even though kundalini... And another thing, if you're a noob, you really shouldn't be fucking with kundalini. Like, if you're like in high school, you start opening up your kundalini. Opening up your kundalini, or whatever it's called. I haven't read about kundalini in a while, but you don't want to do that till you really... Before you even try to open up your kundalini, you need to learn how to stay grounded and balanced before you even try to do any of that shit. And if you're trying to open up your kundalini and then be a Satanist, you're either a noob or you're a crazy person, or you are soon going to be a crazy person. Because when your kundalini opens, like, you can go insane. You can lose your fucking mind. So this is a horrible thing when this kid... I mean, it's a good idea if you don't know anything about this stuff, because you're reading about one, you're like, this is a great idea, and then you open this is a great idea too, because you're like a noob. But really, if you think about it, this is a horrible thing to do. And I told the kid he shouldn't do this, because I really didn't want him to do this. Like, he could really fuck himself up. He could become mentally ill for the rest of his life and like never come back from it. And actually, I was surprised, because a lot of the people in occult form in that specific section were either Satanists or worked with demonology, and they said the same thing I did. They were like, yeah, you don't want to do that. They're like, go with one or the other. But generally, the way Satanism is practiced, and even demonology, or working with demons, or, say you follow Aleister Crowley and stuff, and you're all about your circle of Solomon and keeping your demon trapped in a circle and controlling it and stuff, which I don't believe can actually be done. I don't think you can actually control anything like that. You really, really don't want to be, like, if you're a psychic person, or you're somewhat psychic, you don't want to fuck with this. You really don't want to be, like, fuck with something like that. I mean, you can. I mean, go for it. Do what you want to do, but I'm just saying, like, it's not gonna be good for you at all. But anyways, I just thought this was interesting. But basically, I was just like, no, kid, like, don't do that, and here's why. Now, did he go along and do it? I don't know. I'm hoping that he was such a noob that he just didn't get results from it. And I say that because, like, I say that is probably the best outcome, like, for his safety and his sanity. That's my guess. I don't know. There probably is a Satanist somewhere who practices kundalini, who has successfully opened his kundalini. And I bet you anything, he's probably been hospitalized for psychiatric reasons against his will, and now he's probably on meds. That's my guess. And that's if he's lucky. But that's just my whole take on the whole thing. I don't know, I just had to share this. I don't really talk to spiritual stuff about people anymore, but I know this stuff. I've dealt with it a lot, but I don't really talk about it all the time. I try to stay grounded and just not really think about the stuff right now. But anyways, I'm